進化した。
Hey everyone, it's Mark. This is my recap for Pokémon Journeys episode 60. Aim to be a Leek master. Adhere to the path of chivalry. This was the 1145th episode of the Pokemon anime, and one of the better episodes of Pokemon Journeys in my opinion. Apologies for getting this review out a little late. If any of you are familiar with American sports, you'll know that Friday was the opening day of the NCAA men's basketball tournament, and I am totally that guy who makes like 10 different brackets, so yeah, I was a little preoccupied with that today. Also, if you're watching this and you're not subscribed, please consider hitting that subscribe button. My videos always get more viewers than I have subscribers, and I'm so close to 1,000 subs. It would really mean a lot to me if you'd subscribe to my channel. With that out of the way, let's break down the episode.
KAMON.
The opening of this episode made me laugh. Are we really going to get a complete reset of what the World Coronation Series is every time Ash has a new battle? I guess that just goes to show how infrequent of a plot point the World Coronation Series is. Anyways, Ash is up from rank 381 to 273, so I guess he had one or two battles off screen.
KAMON?
Go, Scizor, and Ash's Farfetch'd are doing some sparring in the Cerise Park. We get our first Cinderace sighting in the past two episodes, but it was just a cameo. Go's Grookey has taken over as his main Pokemon for the time being. Go suggests that they take their Pokemon to the center for some healing, and along the way they... Wait, how lazy is Grookey? If it's not clinging onto Go, it needs to ride Pikachu? I thought that was a funny quirk, but anyways, this was a cool Grookey moment. They run into a withered-looking Bellsprout, and Grookey heals it with its rhythmic grass drum beating ability. I don't know what to call it, but you guys know what I mean. Go catches the Bellsprout and Grookey's all excited. This was a fun little moment, especially considering that this was an Ash-focused episode. I'm glad we got to see a little more of Grookey's personality. Like I mentioned earlier, it seems like Grookey is taking over as Go's main Pokemon for the time being. I guess making up for lost time, considering it took nearly 60 episodes for it to get introduced. After everyone is all healthy again, Ash gets a World Coronation Series notification at the Pokemon Center, and guess who happens to be there? It's everyone's favorite Wally lookalike, Rinto. He explains that their last battle couldn't have been a ranked match since he was still in the normal class back then, but now he's in the great class along with Ash, so they can officially battle each other. Side note, look how enamored Grookey is with Go, it can't even take its eyes off him. Cute. When Ash and Go bring up how they trained with Wickstrom over in Kalos, Rinto says that he and Gallade did as well, which was quite the coincidence. I mean, wouldn't have taken like 30 seconds to do that little bit of storytelling back in episode 56, but whatever. Let's move over to the battlefield where it'll be a 1v1. Rinto was pretty confident throughout this entire battle. I mean, last time they faced off, Gallade won without even taking any damage, so I guess he has every right to be confident. The initial exchange of attack goes in favor of Rinto and Gallade, which Go makes note of. This was probably Ash's first major battle in Journeys where Go was the only person watching and commenting from the sidelines, and I thought he added some nice commentary to the battle. We're used to hearing someone like Brock, Silent, Clement, Kiawe, or even people like Gherkin and the Karate Master giving their analytical take on Ash's battles, but Go brings his own perspective, which I thought was fun. I mean, he's basically just thinking out loud and reacting to what he's seeing, so I don't want to overhype it. I just thought it was interesting to have Go filling this role by himself. Rinto adds his own analysis to the match, following in line with what he had said during their previous meeting that Farfetch'd was talented and had potential, but he and Ash were lacking that special something. Probably the funniest part of the episode was when Go chimed in and asked Rinto if he was planning on telling Ash what exactly he was missing, to which Rinto claps back by saying he's not a gym leader, so why should he give out advice to his opponent? I loved that moment. I thought Rinto's overconfidence grew and grew throughout this battle, and he was definitely more antagonistic than most of Ash's recent opponents. Big moment up next when Gallade counters Farfetch'd Detect with Feint and actually slices off the top of its Leek. But before we continue, out of nowhere, the Who's That Pokemon segment scared the life out of me by having the Rotom drone do the official dramatic voiceover. I was not expecting that at all. Back to the battle, and Farfetch'd is predictably rattled by getting its Leek broken, and of course Ash comes up with a unique solution to the problem, and Rinto tells Gallade to back off and see what they can do. And at first, this kind of frustrated me because I don't like it when trainers give their opponents a second to breathe like this. I mean, it is a ranked battle. I would have just told Gallade to immediately charge in with Psycho Cut as soon as there was an opening, but that's just me. The more I thought about this though, I actually thought it was in line with Rinto's character. Like I said before, he's a very confident trainer, and his complete dominance stance of Ash and Farfetch'd up to this point has led him to become overconfident or even cocky, so he doesn't even see any harm in letting Ash trying whatever it is he's planning. So Ash's strategy is for Farfetch'd to hold the broken part of its Leek and use it as a shield, and in doing so not only references the Sword and Shield titles of the games, but Wickstrom's Aegislash, which was the actual inspiration behind Ash's plan. Farfetch'd tries it out, and I mean, we'll get to the Sirfetch'd of it all in a minute, but I was wondering how Farfetch'd evolution would play out. Ash has never even seen a Sirfetch'd before, but he unknowingly told Farfetch'd to start battling exactly like one. We get to see the moment of Farfetch'd jumping up into the air, which is what we saw in the preview for this episode, but no evolution yet, and this strategy actually works, well, until it doesn't, and Farfetch'd takes some major damage. Back to Go for some commentary, and he says that Rinto is just toying with them, and that Gallade has essentially avoided taking any damage. They have put in a lot of effort to keep deflecting Farfetch'd attacks, but Go is correct in that they haven't actually landed a hit on Gallade yet. Rinto has gone full bad guy by this point, telling Ash that he and Farfetch'd haven't lived up to his expectations and that they're still far too inadequate. A great character moment for Ash here. Instead of getting thrown off by this trash talk like he has in the past, he stands up for Farfetch'd, saying that they've trained hard and they know they've gotten stronger. This resonates with Farfetch'd, who has seemingly lost the will to fight by this point, clearly shaken by how Gallade has gotten the better of it. But Ash motivates Farfetch'd by saying that even though they're not perfect, they're going to get stronger together. Ash's confidence in his Pokemon lifts Farfetch'd's spirits, and it's time to get serious. They launch a flurry of Fury Cutters and actually start to land a few hits. More specifically, and maybe this is just what it looked like to me, but it looked like Farfetch'd landed 1, 2, 3 critical hits, and oh boy, here we go. We know what that blue light means. Gallade is in real trouble now, and just when their exchange of Night Slashes looks even for the first time, Rinto comes out of nowhere and tells Gallade to take damage. And what is happening? Apparently Rinto's Gallade was packing the hidden ability Justify this entire time. This means that getting hit with a Dark type move raises its attack. This is not a twist that I saw coming. Even with the boosted attack power, Sirfetch'd is already pretty adept at handling its shield and is able to hold Gallade at bay, which gives Ash another chance to motivate it during the climax of the battle. Then we get the epic showdown that I used for the thumbnail of this video, as both trainers call for one final Night Slash. I'm not sure why Rinto chose that move, but whatever. Sirfetch'd gets the better of the exchange and lands the decisive blow, knocking Gallade out. Ash ranks up to 184th in the World Coronation Series, and Rinto is both humble and gracious in defeat. And how funny did Gallade look slung over Rinto's back like that, clearly embarrassed from losing. Ash and Rinto shake on it, which I assume marks the end of the little mini rivalry the two had, and the episode comes to a close with a short, quick segment of Go gushing over how cool Ash and Sirfetch'd are. I'm giving this episode an 8 out of 10 rating. It's probably an 8.5 if I was doing half ratings. Like I said at the top of this review, this was one of my favorite episodes of Journeys so far, and probably my favorite battle that Ash has had in Journeys. Maybe that's just recency bias, but I think I liked this battle better than Ash vs. Visquez vs. Karina or Bee. I'd be curious to hear what battle you guys liked the best so far. Ash's victory puts him right on the brink of the Ultra class, and I wonder what this means for his future World Coronation Series matches. Considering how big of a deal they made about Ash ranking up to the Great class for the first time by bringing Karina back, I'm hoping they give us an epic battle for Ash to make it into the Ultra class. I don't know who would be the right opponent for that match, but we still don't know what Gary or Iris are doing in their upcoming returns. Maybe one of them will be Ash's big test to get into the Ultra class. Back to reviewing this episode though, I rated it so highly for a few reasons. I like the interactions that Go and Grookey had throughout, but obviously the majority of my rating reflects how I felt about Ash and Rinto's battle. While there probably could have been more build up to Farfetch'd's redemption arc, I did like the execution of how things played out in this episode. That's kind of like what I said back when Lucario and Cinderace evolved in episode 45. I thought it was way too soon for those two evolutions, but hey, I gave that episode a 10 out of 10, so clearly they were doing something right, at least in the short term. And again with Farfetch'd, sorry, I guess I should say Sirfetch'd, they could have easily stretched this out and had Ash lose again, and I would have liked to see Ash and Rinto's rivalry continue. That may have been the better long-term storytelling, but in the short term, I really liked how this battle played out. Rinto and Scallion were only in one episode prior to this, but they were quickly established and confident and composed battlers. They had a clear style of deflecting FARFETCH'D attacks until there was an opening, and Rinto was consistent in his trash talk to Ash, using the same "you're inadequate" phrase multiple times. I mentioned in the episode highlights that I loved his little quip about not being a gym leader, so he didn't have to be the respectful kind of opponent who helps Ash through his struggles. That was up to Ash and FARFETCH'D to figure out for themselves. And that is exactly what made it all the more satisfying when Ash did push back against his trash talk, even when Rinto started making fun of him for failing to meet his expectations and asking what Wickstrom would think of them now. Well, quite frankly, I think Wickstrom would be smiling and crying, let's be real, had he seen Ash and FARFETCH'D's chivalrous devotion to each other. I spent most of this episode asking myself,
so how long is it gonna be till the big Evolverama?
And the evolution sequence was really cool. I guess it was coincidence more than anything that they ended up battling with a Leek and shield similar to a Sirfetch'd, and like I pointed out earlier, you could make the case that FARFETCH'D landed 3 critical hits in order to trigger the evolution, which is Galarian FARFETCH'D evolution requirement in Sword and Shield. If this was the last we'll see of Rinto, and quite honestly I do think this will be his last appearance, then I'll remember him as a fun mini-boss that Ash had to overcome. I know a lot of people hoped Rinto would become a long-term rival for Ash, but I thought he served his purpose of being a minor antagonist that Ash was able to defeat. His personality brought the best out of Ash and Sirfetch'd, so Rinto definitely served his role quite well. I am left wondering though, now that Ash's entire Journeys team is fully evolved, what's next for this group? Is Ash going to catch more Pokemon, or will it be more training for his current squad? Obviously, being fully evolved doesn't mean that's the end of a Pokemon's character arc, but at least for Sirfetch'd, I don't know what else there is to explore with him and Ash's relationship. I'm hoping we get to see some spotlight on either Gengar, Dragonite, or Dracovish next, but I guess we'll see what happens. Speaking of what's up next, the episode preview made it look like we're in for a complete filler episode next time with some kind of story about some handyman with a Plusle and a Minun. I don't know, this kind of reminds me of when I saw the episode 52 preview when Ash, Go, and Chloe went and visited a farm. That preview looked like it had 5 out of 10 filler written all over it, and sure enough, that's exactly how the episode played out. I'm still excited though. A new episode of Journeys is still a new episode of Journeys. The only thing I'm complaining about is that there's going to be a 2-week break before we do get to episode 61, so don't expect a new episode or a review either of the next 2 weeks. I'm sure they have a perfectly good reason to be taking these 2 weeks off, so that's no big deal. I do have 2 videos that are already a work in progress that should both be out within the next week or so, and I have plenty of other exciting ideas to bring you guys. I just finished up my midterms here at school, so I've been slow at getting some videos out lately, so I apologize for that. Speaking of one of those new video ideas, as you guys know, I am hot on the trail of hitting 1,000 subs, and to mark the occasion, I figured a 1K subscriber special was in order, and I thought the best idea for that would be a Q&A video. You guys are my first and most loyal fans, so I figured I'd open it up for you guys to ask me any questions you may have. There's a link down in the description and in the comments to a Google form. It's literally just one click, and you can type in one or as many questions as you want to ask me. It can be anything from Pokemon related stuff such as what is my favorite Pokemon, what is my favorite series of the anime, etc., to YouTube related questions, or my personal life if you want to go there. I'm open to anything. Well, I mean, if you cross any lines, I just won't read the question in the video, so don't bother asking for my address or social security number, but you guys get the idea. Submit any questions that you want to hear me talk about, and I'll put that video out as soon as I hit 1,000 subs. I feel like the endings of these episode reviews have turned into the announcements section for my channel, but I mean, this is the best way for me to communicate with you guys. Once I get access to the community tab, I can use that to interact with you all, and of course, you're always invited to follow me on Twitter and join my Discord server. I'm super interactive on both of those, so I'd love to talk to you guys on there. On Discord, we're currently working on setting up the official Elite Trainer Mark bingo card for Pokemon Journeys. I want to make it difficult enough that it'll take us a while to hit bingo, so I'd love your guys' input and ideas for that. Thanks so much for watching this video, especially if you watched all the way to the end. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next time.